you doing?
Doing pretty well.
Excellent.
How are you?
I'm good. As I said, I haven't had my placebo coffee yet, but
Yeah.
I don't do caffeine, but my brain likes to think so. And we're up early redoing.
Because we forgot to turn the microphone on. Rather, I should say I forgot to turn the microphone on as our resident AV non-expert in here.
Right. So a Monday cat that we record on Mondays. Well, now we're recording early Tuesday morning.
But it's
That's
actually fine because we actually have some new news that
That's
we
true.
didn't have yesterday that we can
true.
share.
Yeah.
Our segment came out on the broadcast television.
Oh yes, yeah. WCAX aired our piece, Made in Vermont. It is called Made in Vermont.
Yep.
And it's a fun little piece.
Yeah, so we'll link it in the notes for those of you not in the Vermont area
Right.
without broadcast television like myself.
Yeah, when we were going home last night, I said, "Hey Amanda, don't forget to watch." She goes, "Yeah, Peggy, I can't." And it just shows our age. Like you don't have broadcast television of any kind in your house. Which,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
my husband and I get a little old-timey. I mean, it goes with the course of having sheep and knitting, but we do have a real radio, so.
There you go. So anyway, watch it if you'd like. It's fun. It was neat that they came here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a busy time.
It has been busy, and we had a busy weekend this
we did.
weekend,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about a little bit later. We were down in Boston for
Yeah.
the New England Farm and Fiber
Yep,
Festival.
Farm and Fiber Festival at the Boston Public Market. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
But let's start with, what are you wearing? We know this.
Yeah, I am wearing the honeycomb sweater that you gifted me, made out of your lovely Corriedale yarn.
Yeah.
Again, this sweater is deceptively not warm for its size because of all of the holes due to the honeycomb, but it's fun and festive.
Yeah, and it's you can't tell probably from afar, but I dyed it over gray. So it was
it's got a nice like heathered effect here. You can probably see a little bit better close
right,
up,
and
but-
when you're dyeing over gray, you're really dyeing over blacks and whites, and that's what gives it the heathered effect. And also, it tones down the red. This was actually cherry red, which is on white would be like pow.
Yeah, but it's
this
got a
sort of
nice
makes
like
it,
cranberry.
exactly. Yeah.
Cranberry effect. So yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of dyeing, that's what I'm wearing a shoulder shrug.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of our shoulder season.
And it should.
Shoulder cowl or whatever we're calling it.
Right, which was designed by Ann Crory.
Yep.
A good friend of ours. And she's been knitting these forever. And so I knit this probably 9 years ago because I saw Ann knitting them and I was like, oh, that's really smart. And it's basically a yoke sweater that you just keep going till you don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the different colors of our flock.
Yeah, I love that you've got, I can see that
Yeah.
you've got the gray, which
Gray,
is usually a mix of your whites and darks,
Well,
right?
this is just
that-
the
oh,
old
straight up
ladies.
gray?
Yep, straight up gray, and then the next one is the yearlings, and then I did a little that was dyed with the red, and then these are the brown is the Moritz, and the
Yep.
white are the whites. So
I
Yeah.
love how the red really makes those natural colors
Yeah.
stand out. Because I always have a hard time figuring out how to match my natural sheep colored yarn because they're all sort of shades of brown. But I
Right.
think having the red in there is really
Yeah.
nice.
I wish I'd made it it's a little constricted, but you can also scrunch it up and wear it, and the Corriedale is so soft. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it is so
makes
soft.
me happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I'm wearing. So we just had a phenomenal time on Sunday.
Yes.
You drove down on Sunday. I went down on Saturday, stayed with a dear old friend, Margaret, so that I could get there right at the crack of dawn. And we're in a loading dock because it's the Boston Public Market, right in downtown Boston.
Yeah,
And
it's lit, like you get off the freeway and it is right
there. Yeah, but it gave us a little bit of a preview of, loading dock. And, you get there and at least 24 cars have got to get in there and get their stuff out. And it was a little, but it got through and they had a lot of good help there.
And you're brave with your city driving in the big truck.
Well, I wasn't in the truck. For Vogue Knitting Live, it'll be okay.
Yeah,
I just had my car, and at the hour on Sunday I was going, you could have done loop-de-loops in the middle of the road and no one would have cared. But we got it all set up, and then a great crowd.
Yeah, we didn't really know what to expect. This was our first year at this festival. This is actually the 4th annual, but it took a hiatus.
Right.
The original organizer,
Guinevere
Day, she did a great job with it for the first 3 years, and then sort of retired the festival.
And COVID kind of put the kibosh on it too.
Yeah, and so this year, Tammy White from Wing and a Prayer Farm and Amanda Blake Sewell from Taproot Magazine, which we've got right here, and we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
They picked it back up
Yep.
And just did a phenomenal job for,
Yeah.
I believe it was both of their first festivals.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
They did just a
Yeah,
fantastic job.
But Tammy's been a vendor at a gazillion, so she knew, she was seeing it from a vendor's
and you
eye.
could tell.
Yeah, you could really
It was
tell.
probably the nicest vendor experience I had. They
Yeah.
had like restrooms that were vendor only, so you never had to wait. There was like a code to get there.
Yeah.
They were coming around with a cart with snacks
And seltzer and yeah.
tea and pickles, and that was just
Very
such a
thoughtful.
nice touch because
Yeah.
normally,
Because you can't get out of your booth sometimes. It gets a little wacky.
yeah, if there's two of you, you can kind of like
Yeah.
trade off going, but we were kind of slammed, so it was just nice to
Yeah.
have them coming around.
And it was very fun how many people came in who'd been watching the Millcast or been following us and just coming by to say hello and sharing what they've been knitting.
Oh, we had so many incredible people like coming with their sweaters. You're seeing some photos now of some of the visitors to our booth.
Yeah.
We just got a kick out of it, but we especially the sweater from that beautiful. I'm sorry, I don't know what your name is, but it was a sweater made out of our kindling in Suffolk and silk.
Right. And when she first came in the booth, I think you were taking a break, and it took me a moment to understand what I was looking at. And then I realized it was kindling, and I'm like, oh, you got to come back. Amanda's got to see this, because Amanda created the kindling. You know, we each kind of play with our different colorways,
Yeah.
and kindling was definitely Amanda's. I said, Amanda's got to see this.
Yeah,
It
so
was
we'll
good.
show a picture, but yeah, it's the Koivua, Koivua sweater by Boylan Knitworks, and it's like full color work all the way down, and
Yeah.
it just looks amazing, so
Yeah.
I was really glad to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if we want to jump, we've got a couple of clips from the festival.
Yeah, of some other things. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the other one was Steph. She's at econ_knitter on Instagram, but she came by with her junction cowl, so we'll have her show that off for you.
Yeah, so this is the honey held with the January nights, and it's the junction cowl. I added some extra lining, but outside it's all junction fire mill.
Thank you for showing us.
It's so cool that you lined it.
I know it is ultra warm because the cables add a little bit of warmth as well, but then she did the full lining on
And
the
the
back.
lining's going to do kind of peekaboo with an accent color like that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, get ready for this one.
Yeah, so he'll introduce himself and we'll discuss afterwards.
Okay. Hi, my name is Thomas Hamilton, aka Gregory Stitch, and I am wearing one of my designs. It's called Dear John from my King Chris collection.
Oh my god, it's so good!
That's crazy.
It was so cool. So he was walking around throughout the day at the festival in his like amazing outfit, but he also had pieces on view sort of in the little speaker area.
Well, because he was one of the presenters. They had speeches and things going on all day long, and at one point, I want to get his name right, Gregory did a presentation, and he had several of his works, and creative, over the top. I think of it like couture design, where you look at it going, man, I don't think I'd ever do that. But I like this little accent or whatever. Really, really
it's just
clever.
It's like the opposite of what you think of when you think of wool clothing,
Right?
Because so much of it is like, I don't want to, maybe it's not lace work, because I think he does a lot of crochet. I'm not sure what the terminology is, but it's a lot of like intricate open. He's got this beautiful gown. You should check it out on Instagram. That's got a skirt that's like
all yarns hanging
fluffy
down.
Fluffy yarns.
Really brilliant.
It's so amazing, and it's just really inspiring to see people do unique new things with wool.
I would never think to do grommet work with knitting, right?
Yeah, no,
So,
but it looks fantastic,
Yeah, it
and
was
I
very
think
cool.
it helps to modernize the craft a little
Yeah,
bit.
and just open up your imagination.
But he's got a great Instagram account as well that you should check out. I think it's Gregory Stitch on Instagram, so definitely check that out. And then there was another young woman that came by the booth that had the sweater that made both of us go, whoa, what are you wearing?
Can we stare at that for a moment? Yeah,
that was
Lorinda Yoke sweater. It's going to come out on February 14th on the pattern, and it's by Webster Street Knittery.
Webster Street
Knittery, and the pattern actually. She's a test knitter. She's also a designer, but the pattern's going to come out as a solid color. But she then knit it in colorways that just knocked your socks off, and I think we both want to give it a try with the muted making tracks.
Like a Pebbles or a Valley Fog.
A Valley Fog would be so cool.
Yeah, and maybe like a gray or like a dark to accent that dark brown. Actually, that dark brown would look really nice with Pebbles or Valley Fog.
Yeah,
but
we were impressed.
Beautiful sweater. Yeah, and we like to do this at festivals, which is like you come up to somebody wearing something you like I have to ask you, I have to touch your sweater.
And I think they expect that. But you know, if you've got something fancy you've knit, the place to wear it is at a fiber festival.
Yes.
And there were actually quite a few knockout. There was one woman with a crochet. We don't have a picture of her.
Oh, it was like suns and moons.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, it was a great festival.
Yeah.
And we want to say specifically thank you to the organizers.
Yeah, Tammy White, you just totally rock it, and Amanda, thank you.
Yes, and we just want to make a special shout out about Taproot Magazine. They gave us this issue. This is their issue 47, but I think they're on 55 or something right now. And I was on a panel with Amanda, a Women in Wool panel, and she was describing sort of how she got into publishing this magazine, and she does it, she sort of started it herself with her 5 kids in her house.
That's the part 5 kids, holy cow.
Oh my gosh, and she wanted to make a publication that didn't have advertising, so if the content is all just really, really, really beautiful stuff. There's knitting patterns in every issue. Look at that. Animals. Yeah. So this is a really great one for all the crafters. It's not just knitting, it's recipes, it's all sorts of, homesteading stuff, food, farm, family, craft. But Taproot Magazine's doing good stuff, and thank you for revitalizing this festival. Yeah. We would definitely love to be back.
I need to give a shout out to Teresa Walker and her crew, Wendy and Tim, who were at the booth right next to us. And Tim is easily 3 feet taller than I am and was able to help me get the sign up. And Wendy came and helped me get the bins. So really, really helpful. Thank you. She's with, I want to make sure I get it right, Great Bay Works. She raises Romney, award-winning fleeces.
Yeah, I saw her show, her son show their animal at Rhinebeck, where they ended up winning. I'm not going to get the exact category right, but I want to say it was like overall best fleece. Yeah. They do amazing stuff.
And very generous. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
It was great. What's in the mill before we get on to this weekend?
Yeah, we're still milling away. We were talking about neutral colors with that sweater earlier. Well, neutral is certainly the theme today. We have a lot of neutrals going through the mill.
Which is great after our making tracks of Palooza.
Yeah, giving our eye a rest.
Yes.
So I'm going to show you a couple that we're working on. I have this we've just done. This is an order that has 3 different colorways of fin, and we've done the light gray. We actually have the white up on the spinner right now, and this is their dark gray.
And it's almost like a dark chocolate brown. It's so lovely.
It's super soft. Today we'll take it off the spindles and start scanning it. But this fin is, not all fin is alike, and we've talked about that with other breeds. This farm in particular works really hard on working to get their fiber as fine as possible, and they are rocking it.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
Yeah, it does, that fin, it does pose a few,
it can.
challenges to get through just because it's so fine and slippery, I think it is, but we do our best, and I think the finished product this time is going to be absolutely lovely.
When we were doing the white, we really cranked the humidity.
Yeah.
If it's super fine and it's going to be fussy on the spinner, first thing to do, get the humidity up. I think we got up to about 71% yesterday.
Yeah, and if you don't, it starts wrapping around the rollers, so that's sort of the challenge.
Chaos ensues.
Yeah, we usually don't take videos of that happening, probably for obvious reasons, but it would be interesting to try to capture
you'd have to take the audio out. So this is a 3-ply Shetland, really lovely. There's actually a school near here, Kimball Union Academy, and this is going to be heading over there. It's just lovely, and again, we always love the 3-ply.
It just looks so nice, just so appealing. You just want to squish it. It's such a round strand.
Yeah. So this is a reasonably light gray, but I'm going to show you an even lighter one. We showed you the ingredients to this before. This is it's got Montadale Cheviot, but it's roughly 30% Angora bunny, and it totally transforms the Montadale Cheviot. Yep. It's really soft, but we also learned that working with Angora bunny is really tough. From the moment we started picking it, all the way through the carder, the pin drafter, there's kind of like I don't know if it's dander, but it's dander-esque. I'm
you're like sniffling already.
It's lovely, but something got kicked up in the air where we were all struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do Angora again. It was a good experiment, and it certainly was not difficult to process. It's more of a ventilation.
And it's interesting. So the Montadale Cheviot was white.
Yeah.
And there was only a little bit of a gray in the Angora, but it was enough to just sort of quietly tone down.
I love the color of this.
Color's knockout.
It's so soft.
Yeah, it's sweet.
And it's just got a pretty different texture than 100% wool. Like, you can tell that it's something else. So
it is.
Yeah, and on our end, freshly labeled, in fact, we have our next mill blend. So this is the Mill Blend Volume 4. Our mill blend, we make it from basically all of the little odds and ends of wool that we collect in the process that can't, for whatever reason, make it into the finished yarn.
Yeah, and it's like 4 months, 5 months worth of collection.
Yeah, so we take it all and then we do one spin run with it all together, and usually it comes out this sort of heather gray. It works really nicely as a neutral along with our making tracks or any of our other DK weight yarns, which is all of them at the moment. But yeah,
we should also say most mills do that. They hang on to the scraps that you just can't get through on the order. Yep. And then you don't want to waste it.
Reuse, recycle, reduce. Right. Yep. So we like this one. It's special. It's got I say mill blend, a bit of everything, and it's
name the breed. It's in there.
Mostly wool. Yeah. All the breeds. So there's that one, and then speaking of Montadale and Cheviot, we have a new Montadale and Cheviot neutral, which is what is it? 7%.
About 7%.
Merino, black dyed merino fiber that we sourced, imported, and mixed with the Montadale Cheviot. Yeah. So this is a lovely light gray, which
we thought it would just add to. We've got the dyed Montadale Cheviot in really cool colors, and we had the white, but we thought it would be really nice to have a really pale gray.
Yeah, and this is also a lovely color, like Peggy said, with the sweater to add some dye to. So I think we would love to experiment with that a bit too. We've so far used just the white Montadale Cheviot as a base, but I am loving how that black is just sort of making it a little bit more textured. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
And additionally, on the subject of labeling, we've moved on from making Traxapalooza into labeling
Palooza. That's right.
So we've been just labeling fools here because we have finally decided we needed to level up on our
and somebody made a comment on the Millcast also saying, wouldn't it be great if you could have the labels? And yes, we've been working so hard, and the labeling takes time.
Well, and it's like anything. When you start with it, you're really inefficient, and I think we're figuring out ways to get a little bit faster with it. Right. I've got like a label dispenser
on the way
today, so that should help a bit too. But I just have to tell the anecdote. Last night, I came home with 4 bags full of yarn and put my husband to work. He made some cocktails, we labeled some yarn because we were really trying to get prepared for this next weekend, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, so do we need to look at the labels after the cocktail to make sure?
They're fine. Okay. Cody's very good with, he's got the fine motor skills. Right, so he, we had a nice time. I was actually kind of bummed when we ran out of yarn because it went much faster than I thought it would. It took us like an hour to get hundreds of skeins labeled. So
that's nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Excellent.
So we've got some comments last time. Yeah. And I have actually brought a prop to discuss as well.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. So, your last time you were here, you were talking about jabbing yourself, and I can't get over how many comments and really creative input on what you might do to
if any of you use the really pointy needles, which are wonderful for knitting, but they will, if you're, I keep my tension kind of tight sometimes, and my hand will swipe the needle, and you get a little like mark that is painful.
Chagu? Shagu?
Everyone keeps trying to tell us how to pronounce it, and it's just like, what? I hear you say it. And
Chaogu, the interchangeable.
Yeah, they're
pretty pointy.
So
anyways, and I love the point, but man, if you're jabbing yourself.
I got new lotion that I really like. That's lanolin based.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think this company's out of Australia, but they're called Lano, and I've got this and also like a lip balm stuff. But this is really nice, thick stuff that I've been using this week that has helped with my hands, and my my little mark is completely healed. So whether it was that or just
very
time,
good.
Just labeling instead of knitting.
Label it, yeah. Then it's carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yeah.
And there were comments earlier about faster ways to purl, and I just want to say that I did try the recommendation of the Russian purl, and you know what? It doesn't take long to figure it out, and wow, you can really whip it. Yes.
Okay.
The only challenge is that it's putting on the stitch, what I would call backwards.
Okay.
So it's going over to your right needle in a different. So instead of this, it's going on like that, which means if you're going to turn it around and do the knit stitch, you got to change how you're doing the knit stitch, which I wasn't prepared for that much intervention. But I could see if you have a long lot of purling to do, you could just say, okay, for this, that's the way I'm going to do it, and crank it. It was very cool.
I will have to check that out.
Yeah.
I did a little practice on the continental knitting this week, and it's okay. I think it really depends. Like, I'm trying to get the tensioning right. It's different than when I'm doing it.
Right. Yeah. And you say, well, if I do the weave this way, and then you find yourself getting all hung up on that. Yeah.
But thank you so much for the comments.
Yeah.
We always love to read them, and we read everyone. We love responding to them, and it just makes us feel in touch with our community.
And just so many thoughtful comments.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I brought some knitting.
I have not. I just have. I'm nowhere with Todd's sweater. It's where it's at.
You're not nowhere. I would say.
Well, it's on hold.
You're getting there.
But look at this.
So I started this little. It's called the Festival Sweater from one of my favorite designers, Petite Knit. She's a Danish designer. And it has a new technique for me, which is these little mini baubles, is what she calls them. I don't love how they're made, but I think they're really cute.
Very.
To make these little baubles, you have to go into the stitch with your contrasting color, and you knit the stitch, but don't take it off the needle. So you leave it on the needle.
Yep.
Then you yarn over.
Okay.
And then you knit it off the needle. So you're getting 3 wraps in one stitch.
Right.
Which, again, for someone that's kind of keeps their tension a little tight, you got to really work to keep it loose, because on the way back around, you're going to actually flip your work.
Right.
So you're going in the wrong direction, even though it's in the round, and then you're knitting through the back loop all those 3 stitches together.
Right.
So with the yarn I'm using, which I believe for the contrast is our North Country Cheviot. It's a little slippery, and it's just I kind of want to get like a crochet hook in there to get that yarn through. So that's a bit tricky. But other than that, the main color is your Coriel white.
Right, and I love the neck. It's what we talked about before. You go up the ribbing, then do your purl for the fold, and then back down.
Yeah, I've never done that as well, but it's going to be nice and cozy. And of course, it's for Maeve.
Well, and it makes the collar have some real shape.
Yeah, and there's short rows in the back, so it's actually it's got a front and back, which I love. So yeah, it's kind of chugging right along at this point.
Very nice.
I haven't been knitting a whole lot the past few days, because we are preparing for Vogue
finally
Knitting Live.
finally it's coming right at us. We're gonna head down there on Thursday, pack the truck on Wednesday.
Yep, tomorrow.
Pack the truck tomorrow and head down Thursday so that we can get in there first thing Friday morning to the loading dock, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be an adventure, to be sure. We're still kind of figuring out some odds and ends. We're labeling like mad to try to get at least a little bit of everything labeled that we're going to bring. Yeah,
and if you're in the New York area or at all thinking for to go for a field trip, please stop by the booth and say hello, and maybe bring us some bottled water. Because I don't think there's going to be a cart at this one.
Probably not. I have no idea what to expect, and I haven't been to New York City since 2019. I used to live there and go pretty frequently.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited just to be back and see. I don't know how much time we'll have to explore. Maybe a little bit on Thursday.
Let's just say it'll feel very different than White River Junction.
And coming back as a mill owner in this on a work trip to New York City. Yeah. What a thing.
That'll be fun.
It will be really fun. So if you're planning to come to Vogue Knitting, please do come by. Yeah. Say hello. Yeah. Show us what you're knitting. We really want to see it.
That's always fun.
Yeah. Well, so, I think that's a wrap. Take 2?
Yeah, take 2.
All right, sorry for the late post on this one, folks, but look forward to next week. We shall have a lot of footage from Vogue Knitting, and we'll see you on the other side of it.
Be well, guys.
Bye.